It happened during a family gathering at my sister's house, where laughter bounced around the room and conversations overlapped like waves. I had always been known for my playful sense of humor, often careless with words when trying to get a laugh. That evening, as everyone gathered around the table, I made a light-hearted joke about swapping my husband if anyone was willing. It was meant to be nothing more than teasing, but the reaction it sparked was far stronger than I could have imagined. Everyone chuckled, waiting for my husband's usual shy grin or sarcastic comeback. But instead, he leaned back in his chair, scanned the room, and said something that froze everyone in place. His voice was calm but precise, as if he'd been waiting for this exact moment. "Maybe you should," he said, "because at least then someone might actually value me more than you do." The laughter stopped immediately. Forks hovered midair. My smile dissolved as his words cut through the room like a knife. My husband, who rarely raised his voice or showed irritation, had delivered a line so sharp it silenced everyone. My sister looked down. My cousins shifted uncomfortably. Even my father cleared his throat nervously. The silence burned hotter than any insult I could have imagined. I wanted to brush it off as a joke, but his eyes never left mine. They weren't angry. They were full of disappointment. For the first time, I realized how many careless words had piled up over the years. This was his quiet revenge. Instead of yelling or creating a scene, he chose a single devastating statement that stripped me of my pride in front of everyone. The evening continued, but the light-hearted energy never returned. On the drive home, I tried to explain, tried to laugh it off, but he didn't respond. His silence weighed more heavily than any words could have. That night, I lay awake, realizing his reply was more than a defense. It was a mirror, reflecting how poorly I had treated him without even noticing. The next day, whispers began to spread. Relatives who had once enjoyed my bold humor now looked at me differently. They spoke kindly to him and cautiously to me. His words had revealed something deeper, something they might have already suspected. My careless joke had backfired, and his calm revenge left me isolated. I tried to make amends, cooking his favorite meals, apologizing repeatedly. But he remained distant. He wasn't cruel, and he didn't argue, but his quietness spoke volumes. It was his way of showing that trust and respect, once cracked, are not easily restored. My punishment wasn't anger or confrontation. It was a cold distance of a man who had stopped trying to prove his worth to me. Weeks passed, and my regret grew heavier. I watched him gain respect from everyone around us. Friends called him strong. Family praised his patience. Co-workers admired his composure. Meanwhile, I became the subject of whispers, the wife who mocked her husband until his silent revenge left me exposed. One evening, while we sat in the living room, I asked him directly if he still loved me. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at me with tired, steady eyes and said, "Love isn't the question. Respect is. And once respect is gone, love doesn't last very long either." His words shattered me more than any fight ever could. That was when I understood that revenge doesn't always arrive with shouting or fury. Sometimes it comes as silence, as quiet dignity that shines brighter than any insult. My husband's calm strength didn't just silence me. It forced me to face the truth about my own behavior. From that day on, I changed, not out of fear of losing him, but because I finally understood the weight of words and the importance of respect. I stopped making careless jokes at his expense and began treating him as the man he truly was, worthy of honor, value, and love. His reply that night wasn't just a comeback. It was a lesson, a warning, and a form of revenge that required no noise. By leaving me to sit with the consequences of my thoughtlessness, he showed me what true strength looks like. Even years later, during family gatherings, no one dares make such jokes again. People regard him differently, and they look at me with the memory of what I almost lost. Every time I recall that night, I remember the quiet revenge that transformed how I spoke, how I loved, and how I respected the man I once joked about swapping. That single, calm sentence became the sharpest weapon I had ever faced, and it left me with a truth I could never ignore. Sometimes, the strongest revenge isn't fury, it's silence.